No more music. Hello, if you're just joining us and you missed us at 10 o'clock, there's a reason for that. We're 2 hours later today. It's midday, so we'll say good afternoon in a minute. We're going live on Facebook and YouTube. We're all here, we're all ready to go. Peter said we shouldn't talk about politics, but I think it's difficult to actually avoid it, Peter.
If you insist. If you insist.
Yeah. Right, so I've got 14 seconds, 13, and we'll be live. If anybody can find us, of course. It's possible that nobody will see where we are. So it might be. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Blabbing for Britain, episode 260. Hello, Peter.
Oh.
Hello, John.
Hello.
Right, behind me today is a photograph of the locks at Devizes, and that's the main flight. And it takes about 2.5 hours to climb those locks. Peter knows this story. It takes about 2.5 hours to climb those locks in a boat, and the boat is going uphill or downhill, as the case may be. Okay, how are you today, John?
I'm okay, better than I was.
Good.
Still not 100%, but much better than I was.
Good to hear. And Peter, how are you today?
I'm just great today. I've just sent I went on to a forum today to say, hello, I'm still here. Just to let you know I'm still here and I'm thinking of you. And if you need us during COVID, we're key workers and we can come up to you.
That's good.
And then I'm also looking for people to come on to my Talkinator show and tell me about their business. So I've done 3 things at the same time on that forum.
And say hello to Tish. And Tish is probably pleased that we're 2 hours later than normal because it's not 4 a.m. It's actually 6 a.m. Yeah, now Jim and I met somebody. Well, sorry, I'll start again. Peter and I spent an hour in Jim Ziegler's company yesterday. And what do you think, Peter?
You know, we actually carried on after you left.
He did say, yes.
Sorry?
He said he was talking to you.
Yeah, we had a good chat and about the weight. He'd actually lost 6 stone. I worked it up because they work in pounds. I says, well, that's 6 stone, and we were passing pictures to each other. And I think he would be my type of person, you know. I did enjoy it, you know.
He's a carrying Republican, so.
Sorry?
He's a gun-carrying Republican.
Oh, you like him more? Yes, I like that. God, you told me that. You just broke up a bit there, Stephen, just to let you know.
All right, okay. I'll try and keep it together. And we'll say hello to Chris, who's saying hello, Stephen, Peter, and John. Hello. And hello to... oh, Tish was up at 4 a.m.
Yes.
Right, okay. Apologies, Tish. Right, okay. Now, Peter said that before we come live, we have a little chat, and Peter said that we shouldn't talk about politics this week. So we'll see you next week. That's the show gone. Right, okay. Little, because it's afternoon. We used to be broadcasting in the morning. So an official welcome to the show. And this is Blabbing for Britain, episode 260. That's definitely 5 years we've been going. More than that. And the first topic. Right, okay. And this is the impact of COVID. I mean, we're still on lockdown. Peter, lockdown in Scotland has changed.
Oh, absolutely. It's really gotten more serious. Takeaways, you can't go into a takeaway shop. You've got to order it and get it outside. They've got to come outside and give it to you in some way. Non-essentials, click and collect. So there's no more click and collect. The food's got to be delivered to you. You can only go out in 2s if you're going for a walk or everything, although that's not prescribed. But If you're meeting, so I can't go out with Sheila and meet someone else from another household. It's either us two, her meeting her sister somewhere and going for a walk. What else is there? Now, obviously, because of my business, and I'm really glad about this, I looked into the Scottish Government website, and I'm really glad to say in stage 4, as pest controllers, it's actually written down. One of the areas to go, one of the businesses that can go out is pest control for health and safety purposes. So really glad about that. So we can go and help, and it's got a bit quieter. So that's the measures that we've got here. But having said that, the other day there was a walk in Parliament, Scottish Parliament, for the COVID deniers. So it's getting very interesting.
Well, I don't understand those people, because we'll know people who've been infected and suffered. This headline refers to the fact that because hospitals are concentrating on COVID, in the last 12 months, 4.5 million operations have been cancelled. Those are people with ailments which are non-COVID related, and normally they would have been seen. They would have been seen and be under treatment, but that's on hold.
My local hospital, Solihull, is a non-COVID hospital. You have to go into another hospital for 2 weeks. Yeah. Pass two tests as negative, and then you can be transferred for surgery or whatever it is to Solihull Hospital.
So that adds to the delay, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But at least they're doing some work.
Do you know, I had a bad experience. Sorry. I had a bad earache, and I tried to get through and I answered a question. It was a question, and because of it I had to dial 111, and when I got through to 111 or whatever it is, they went through a lot of questions. Then it says, go back to your surgery. For your surgery. And it was just you know what I done? I gave up, and I bought something to clear my ears out, and it was really, really sore. And it's the same with my feet. I can't get my feet done just now. It's just it's very difficult, you know. And I just feel sorry for old age pensioners that try to get through to their doctor. If they went through what I went through, and I'm quite savvy, it's a disgrace.
I mean, at our local surgery, you're not allowed to walk in now.
Yeah.
You've got to make an appointment to actually go to the surgery.
Yeah.
Which means if you suddenly take nil, the appointment, in all probability, will not be for that day.
Yeah.
So your next bet would be to call the hospital, and the hospital are going to say, we don't have room for you. Yeah. Now,
we have a thing called Badger. I don't know if you have it down there, but they screen the hospital people if it's, you know, not an accident, an emergency job. So my friend was taken ill last week. He went to he did 111. They sent him to Badger Clinic, which is at the edge of the hospital. They told him he'd got appendicitis. They sent him on to the hospital itself, and it turns out he's got a problem with his hip. But
misdiagnosis, yeah.
No, he was very happy because he was looked after, and once it had been diagnosed properly, rather than a GP, because Badger's GP led, he went then and saw that, and then they did tests and scan bits. He's now having his work done at the local Bupa hospital because he's a Land Rover employee, and you get Bupa cover at certain levels upwards.
Okay, let's catch up with the comments. And Chris is saying, all right, and we're going back to the show we did yesterday with Marco and Jim. I enjoyed it so much I have to reinvent myself. That would be great. Yeah. Working from home looks to be super.
It can be. Not talking to anybody else.
No. I mean, the fact is there were 6 of us chatting away. and it was an entertaining and interesting, thought-provoking hour. And hello, Corinda. Right, today is the last day, and he feels sad. Today is the last day of the CES show, and because it's the 14th day, is it? Yeah, it's the last day of CES. It's been on Monday through Thursday. Corinda's enjoyed it. Normally, he actually goes to the CES show, but it was cancelled last year. But this year, he's been able to go virtually, and it's been totally free. And he's going to be live with Fons and I at 5 p.m. tomorrow to talk about what he's seen. And Corinda again. Yeah, enjoyed it.
Means experience, doesn't he?
Yeah. Okay. And okay, Corinda, you've got us hooked now. Corinda's saying, I love the best TV in the world. What is the best TV in the world? That's a fair question. All right. Okay. All right. Peter's not going to say a word for the next few minutes.
You wouldn't have bet.
You said you weren't going to talk about politics.
Be careful what you say.
I said Peter wasn't. Yeah, because Peter and I were on separate sides of the fence last week, but 75 million Americans and well, Trump impeachment, first president to be impeached for the second time for inciting insurrection. And as 10 Republicans crossed the floor to actually vote that he should be impeached, then it is both parties that have been involved in this impeachment. Now, it's a technical situation at the moment. It's a censorship of basically what he did last week. And nothing will happen before Joe Biden's inauguration on the 20th of January. But on the 21st, it could go to the Senate. And the difference in the Senate this time is that possibly because of the actions of President Trump before last Wednesday, the Republicans lost 2 seats in Georgia, and Georgia has always been a Republican state. It went to Biden in the election. It now has 2 new senators who are Democrats, and therefore Trump could be impeached totally. And the reason it's important is that if he is impeached, then he can't stand for office again. Yeah, and there are people in America. I mean, it's not our fight. I'm not saying it is, but there are people in America who don't feel that he should be able to stand for election in 2024.
But only why, because they're scared he gets in again.
John?
Well, I just hope he doesn't get in again. Yeah, and impeachment stops him making a second go in 4 years' time. So get on with it, boys.
Yeah, I mean the images that have been coming out of the Capitol are just incredible. I mean, I've been watching both sides of the news, Peter, and
images get to me. The burning last year when they tried to burn down a court, when they burned down a church, and people on CNN said it's just a mainly peaceful protest. It's everything that was burning. Come on, if you're going to give news, be fair. Both sides, be fair. Did you see the lady that's been arrested in Texas for voter fraud? She charged £55,000, and it was a Republican that paid her. Look her up. She's just been arrested. 55 grand she got for a Republican to make people vote Democrat. But you know about that one?
No, free speech, Peter. You just told us about it.
I'll give you the name of her after look at her getting arrested. That was Project Veritas. It's quite interesting, actually. Took them a while to arrest her, but they've done it. All on camera. But you would never get to see that, you see. Anyway, what I would say to America is be careful what you wish for. If you think it's all stopped now, whether he's impeached or not, guess what? You're going to have 4 years of turmoil. I'm telling you, that's going to happen.
Well, you've got a divided country in the same way you've got a divided UK. Most countries are now split down the middle.
Yeah, and the Remainers never gave up, did they? Second referendum, Scotland.
I think that Remainers are now resigned to the fact that nothing's going to happen for at least 20 years. Yeah, and so therefore, I mean, Devisers for the EU has renamed itself Devisers for Europe. I don't know who suggested it, but they could be on this broadcast. So basically, everybody's refocusing about maintaining close contact with Europe, but there's nothing going to happen because, as Peter's fond of saying, it's once in a generation. So nothing's going to happen for at least 20 years, in my opinion.
Just to let the people that don't know, Scotland had their referendum, and they all said, and they've got them on cards, it's a once in a year, a generation referendum, and they've never stopped since wanting another referendum. And they even went over to Europe and tried to work behind the UK's back to make them get in. Do you know who they're talking about using their money now? Guess whose money they're going to use? Like a Bank of England. Guess.
I have no idea, Peter.
The Norwegian krone. That's what they've been said about whose currency they would use.
Well, there are close ties between Norway and Scotland, yes?
Yeah, yes, but it's took them ages to tell them that. They've never ever mentioned that before. Then, because when they're always asked, they were told to Bank of England. The pound belongs to Bank of England. You won't get it. Anyway, right, okay.
Okay, over to Corinda, and Corinda is saying, "Oh, it's okay. We've done that one." Right. Okay. Now, this is important because if Facebook and Twitter can ban the president of the USA, are they going too far? Should they just suspended him until after the 20th of January, or is it right to ban him totally, remove him from the platform?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but Twitter was banned in Uganda, and you wouldn't have seen the tears because they felt Twitter was affecting their election. So Uganda, they banned them. Did you know that, Stephen?
Nope.
John, did you know?
No, but at the end of the day, they're private organisations.
True.
Yeah.
Can do what they want.
They can. I'm glad they're not government run. Otherwise, we'd be. Yes. I think they have to be private organisations. They have to be responsible for the content that's on there. At our level, as Peter and I know, they look after copyrights for music. At a higher level than that, then they do stop hate speech, speech which they don't feel should be on their platform. All of which brings us on to Parler. Did you ever join Parler, Peter?
There's some groups still on there that threaten people to behead them and everything. They're still there.
Parler?
No, not in Parler, but on Twitter.
On Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, of course, what happened, just going back a few weeks, we did report on this, that 450,000 people in a group on Facebook. The Facebook group was closed and everybody went over to Parler. And now Parler has been currently taken off the air. Amazon Web Services are no longer hosting, and they're looking for a web host, so they're totally silent. So should Amazon have the right to decide who's on their platform? Is this similar to deciding who should actually be a member?
They interviewed a Parler lady on from the company yesterday on Radio 4, and she said they were given 24 hours to remove 200 statements.
Yeah.
But a lot of the statements were almost impossible for them to find because they were buried on comment upon comment upon comment. and so they didn't complete the actions in 24 hours, so they were turned off. Apparently, they're suing.
Yes. But there's one called Gab, and this is what happened to Gab. They moved on, and they were clever. They got their own servers many years ago, and they've got a big their fears of, well, not fears, but their people went up, and like I said, Twitter, they've lost $60 billion, down 12%, and sometimes things can backfire. That's all I'm saying, because you can never start. There's already even Elon Musk said you can't shut people down like this, and people have been asking him to open up his own servers and his own platforms and things like that. That's why he pulled out of California, seemingly moved the law. Be careful what you wish for, folks.
Peace and goodwill around the globe, Peter.
Not for a while.
Stephen looks serious. Yes, I am serious today. It's because it's afternoon, not morning. And over to Chris. For my hobby, arts and antiques, the Brexit is tough for UK dealers, and in Belgium, Paris looks to take first place from London now. Right, Brexit story, Peter and John. Right, okay.
Nothing we can do about it.
No, it's done. It's done and dusted. Britain for Europe. But I think that you could actually make a success of starting a new Facebook page with stories about things going wrong about Brexit. Now, I won't do it because it's too negative. You don't want to live with that every day. But this is a company in Wales who built a business, it's fourth generation, and they ship shellfish to Europe. And obviously, shellfish have to be fresh, otherwise they're not saleable.
21 hours in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Because we're there, and then it was delayed 7 hours when it got to Spain because it had the importer had incorrectly filled in the paperwork. Yeah. So there was
from
two
the
sides to the story. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'd mucked it up, really, the European side.
Well, no. I mean, it sat there for 21 hours in Portsmouth before it was able to get on a boat.
Yeah.
What was the reason for that?
Everybody's actually moving from Dover and trying to get out of other British ports, and the British ports that they're going to can't handle the traffic. Yeah, nobody wants to go to Dover and get stuck on the M20, so they're trying different directions.
They'd always gone Portsmouth to Spain, because that's where our customers are. So.
Don't worry, it'll sort itself out. There's always teething problems.
Okay.
What's your name, Boris?
Going to happen. They were always going to happen.
Okay, and from shellfish back to Corinda, guys, have a guest talking about policies. I review my membership now and a full Labour member. Okay.
We don't do politics. We don't do politics.
No, we're not doing politics anymore. We're not going to talk about anything political at all. Right, okay, let's talk about supplying meals to children who would normally get school dinners. Basically, backstory to this is that there are provisions for over 1 million children to actually receive school dinners. At the moment, there is no school, so therefore there are no school dinners. So the government contracted with companies to actually provide a week's meals for the youngsters, and that was delivered to the houses. And let's take the story from there.
Well, it was about 3.5 pence worth, wasn't it? Supposed to be £30 worth, and even if you bought branded goods, £8 was the most somebody could get the cost to be.
I think they were given £25 a week to feed the children, yeah, each individual child, and they were spending £5.50 on the goods and more than that on the transport.
Right. No, I'd like to add on to that. I've been listening to Nick Ferrari on LBC today,
Okay.
and the headmaster of the school come on, and he says they were given a choice, right? And a lot of the items they could have was not there. So every picture tells a story, but does it tell the real story? That's the problem.
Well, I don't think she'd taken food away from the photograph. I think she'd put everything in there to make a point.
They were given an option of what there was options, and that's what the mother had taken. Right?
It's not just one mother. I mean, there've been pictures all over the internet, and seriously, the assumption was made that if they supplied the ingredients for a meal but didn't supply all of them, then the household would have those ingredients and be able to put a superb recipe together. So you're given 2 potatoes and 2 carrots, and you're going to make a stew. Something missing there, and that's the meat. It wasn't very well thought out, I don't think. I think if you're going to give a box with food for 12 days, you don't put 6 bottles of water in there. You actually put food that the household can cook to actually do meals for the children.
Let me tell you something now. I think they should make the meals and deliver them to the door, because most of the nation can't cook. And I'm probably one of them. I've always have to have Sheila, what do I do this? I've started making things now. But I'll guarantee you, most of the nation cannot cook, of the younger generation. Get the food made out and get it to the doors and deliver hot food.
Okay.
Have an option. Email in what you want. Make sure the kids get the meal. What do you think of that?
Lack of kitchens is probably the problem.
They've got kitchens at a school.
I'm not going to go to them for COVID reasons.
Well, what's the answer then?
The answer was what they did last year, which was to give the parent the money and let the parent sort it out.
Yeah, and gave supermarket vouchers.
Well, but same thing though, isn't it?
No, the point I was making, they weren't giving cash. They were actually giving supermarket vouchers to be spent at the supermarket on food for the children. And
I do think they're coming back in with the vouchers, aren't they?
I don't know. I haven't really looked at the news today, so.
See going back. See this. I remember when I was a kid, right, in the 60s, 70s, late 60s, 70s. My cousins got free meals at school because their dad had died and their mum was away. And I used to be there all the time playing with them. They actually fed the kids during the summer holidays in the school, right? Not COVID, but they actually got the kids. It was a poor area, and the kids actually got fed during the summer holidays. And I turned up, and the janitor, he got hold of me and he says, "Who are you?" Because I cheated. I went in a queue. And he says, "Who are you? You're not from this school." I said, "I'm living with my cousins." And I actually got a meal, you know. But I remember it back then, that you got school meals even when it was school holidays. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
You do?
The days of jam roly-poly, those, and custard, those were the days. And Corinda agrees with you, Peter. I'm not sure about what, but he agrees with you, which is always a good news.
That's true. When you give cooked meals, the children can eat them, yeah. No, they wouldn't. They'd throw them away and say, "I don't like that.
The logistics of it, I mean, you may as well give vouchers for Iceland, yeah, not the country, the store,
Yeah.
and 5 frozen meals from there, providing that the households have got a freezer, because otherwise it falls down.
And is there any way identifying when they come in with their voucher? they say, that's you. Yeah, you're entitled to that voucher.
Well, I mean, obviously it's open to abuse, but if you know, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, at the moment, you actually making it more complicated than it needs to be. Because I'm with John on this one, and possibly yourself, Peter. The easiest way to do it is through vouchers, rather than taking the goods directly to the door. Okay, let's see what else we've got. I think we're hitting the most of the targets. All right. Okay. Anybody done this? Over 50s rush to book holidays as vaccine boosts confidence. You haven't booked your holidays for this year.
I'm even thinking about it. Yeah, my insurance got in touch saying, "Oh, you need to renew your insurance. We're going to cover COVID." Why? But I've paid for 6 months insurance and not had it because I'm not going anywhere.
Nope. No, don't need travel insurance if you're not actually using it. Any plans to go abroad, John?
None whatsoever. But on the insurance front, my car insurance is due up, and the last 12 months I've not really driven very far at all. But they want to put it up by nearly 15%.
Yeah, nobody's been going anywhere, and they obviously have suffered in terms of income, and yeah, they're passing it on.
Well, have they really suffered in terms of income? We've all kept our car insurance because we have no choice. If the car's not insured, then we couldn't even drive to the shops in it. So we've all been paying what we should have paid.
So why
did it up so much?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they're better off because there've been no accidents?
I think they probably have to shell out less, if anything.
I'll tell you what happened to me the other day. I got an email. I got £120 back from an airline company. I didn't. My flight was cancelled, and I says, "Well, I'll just wait." And I got a surprise. I actually paid it into my bank, without pushing it, because I was meant to go to Berlin, but the Berlin organizer, Pest Protect, it's called. They cancelled it and put another date in. It says so they don't have to give you your money back. I think that date's passed now. I want money.
Okay, and let's go over to Chris. And Chris is staying at home. I think we've got to stay at home at the moment. We've no option. And just if I missed one from Corinda. Oh, right. And Corinda has had his first vaccine jab. Yeah. Okay. I think that. Sorry, Peter.
I just read in the news this morning that my actual doctor surgery put out the wrong date for vaccines. Getting them.
Right.
Well, I spoke to Alice yesterday, who's working on a COVID ward, my daughter, and she said they were crying out for people to vaccinate because the vaccine and no people to vaccinate at her hospital. So they were ringing round the wards to find anybody that qualified. And a friend of mine, she's a couple of years older than me, 68, she took her 87-year-old mum for her vaccine, and they said to her, "Are you a carer?" And she said, "Well, yeah, there's only the two of us." So she got her vaccine there and then because they can't find people to vaccinate.
I was reading an article that people were sending out a link on WhatsApp to go and get vaccine, and people were traveling a long way to get vaccines, cheating, and they got turned away because people were sharing it. Maybe a nurse got it, give it to a friend, and a lot of them turned up, but they were refused the vaccine. And that's the lengths people are going to jump the queue, stuff like that. Do you want me to vaccine you?
There are over 21 million vaccine jabs in the UK now, but there's a problem, and the problem is, well, I read a book a long time ago called The Goal, and The Goal is all about bottlenecks in manufacturing, and what we have here is a bottleneck in distribution. In other words, the theory is that the supply chain can only go as fast as the slowest part. Yeah. Now, the slowest part of the chain is not bringing the vaccines in. It's not delivering the vaccines and giving the jabs. The slowest part is actually packaging them to go out for distribution. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they run out of little glass tubes, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the problem. Is the vaccines here, the infrastructure to deliver the jabs is here, but there's a bottleneck in terms of getting the jabs ready from what is imported to what's actually got to go.
Yeah.
And you can't, well, you could throw more resources at it, but it can only go at a certain speed, because this is testing of each individual file, isn't it? That's in place at the moment. So
they do batch sampling.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's batch sampling, but it still takes 7 days to do a batch sample. So if you're slow getting into the glass vials, and then they've randomly got to test samples from in there, it's going to take time, isn't it?
It is, and it has to take time, because you have to be totally secure in the knowledge in that the jab you're actually getting is what it says it is. Yeah. In other words, what you don't want is something which, for whatever reason, has gone slightly wonky. You want to be assured, 100% assured, that the vaccination that you're having is the correct one, and that's well, in factory terms, that's quality control. So they have to ensure, and that's what slows things down.
And of course, it has to be a scientist, and we're short of those qualified scientists to do the batch sampling.
You're edging into the political there, John, because that's a decision. Never mind.
No.
I'm teasing it. Sorry.
The right people are short of. What is up with Peter? At the angle is at the moment, he looks like he's got a Jedward haircut.
It's okay. If you notice, Peter and I never do this. We don't put our heads forward, because
when he was at the angle, it was all tufted up like, Jedward. There he is at it again. Look.
All right. I would grin.
I desperately need a haircut, but of course you can't get such a thing.
Just a minute. I need to rewind because we missed a couple. Okay, just a minute. And
yeah, we're having you to smile. I don't know why. You've been happy looking.
Thank you. Okay, so let's catch up to date. There are, but not many broadcasting jobs left.
I'm kind of lost as to where that was relevant to what we've been talking about, but
right. Okay, and Corinda's caught up with the fact that we are 2 hours late. This was due to it was due to the fact that I had a medical appointment this morning at 10:30, so that had to come first. So we're now live at midday. So we're here. We just forgot to tell Tish. We should have told Tish.
People's health comes before anything else. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. I agree on that. We forgot to tell Tish, and Tish got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch us live. So we'll tell you. We'll do more in future if we change the time. Right. Okay. Trying to go over and trying to find something. Can you find something that's not COVID or? All right. Okay. And now we're over to our Scotland correspondent. Heavy snow.
About Primark.
Right.
Primark
announcing a £1 billion reduction in turnover because they don't have any web to fall back on.
Check on that. Yeah, I
they
mean, this
don't have a website. You cannot buy online off Primark. That was a business decision, not a terrible business decision. But, you know.
Well, people can't get to the shop.
Time.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be back to a good thing afterwards.
We can't hear you. Is your mic okay?
Pete?
Yeah.
That's better.
I can hear him now. He just wasn't saying anything. Oh, no.
Well,
Can't hear you again.
He can't hear you again.
No.
He's saying something he doesn't want to be heard. No, you've gone silent. We heard you a moment ago.
Flipping stupid thing.
No, you can hear you now.
We know that it's a flipping stupid thing.
Right. Okay. I'm going to show it was that crisp. It was a problem. I want to show you something that I've looked at for years, and so have many other people, that cheers you up when you're feeling down. Would you like to see it?
Go on then.
Right, here we go.
Right.
I'm going to share the screen.
Okay, I'm ready for it. Okay, I just want to take that off screen. And I can see Peter's shared screen. I'm going to bring that on screen. I'm going to put it full screen. Oh, gee, Peter. Is that it? John?
Well,
Anybody?
is it funny? I don't know unless he plays it.
Well, I don't know. I've not got any sound. You've got sound, John?
No. When you were playing things last week, we couldn't hear sound when you were running the show that I normally do with you in the afternoon when you shared a screen.
Inspired by video.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the word. You did a great job.
Right, Peter, we had no sound on that clip.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Right. So this is a clip that I often go to when I'm feeling down. It might not be your sense of humour, but it's mine. Now, the couple of guys that you'll see are both long past, you know, but people still look into this from about 2014, I think it is. So this is my favourite clip of all time.
I'm waiting for it to come through.
Right, I'll start again.
This is Fashion Week over in Paris. The latest fashions are on the runway for next spring.
Well, I can hear the sound, but can't see anything.
One of the British designers shows has a difficulty.
I can hear the sound, I can't see anything.
Going down once. The young woman wearing that pink skirt and the orange platform shoes.
Watch.
We can't see it, Pete.
Peter?
Yeah.
We can't see anything.
Ah, well, it's on. Yeah.
It's on your machine. It's on your machine, but it's not shared.
Right.
Right. Okay. So
I know what I've done. Sorry, let me go.
Peter's going to.
Right.
Okay.
Whatever. You must see this. You must see this.
We're going to try.
Right. Here we go. Now.
Okay. Just let me get it on screen first, Peter.
Fashion Week over in Paris.
Right.
Just a second. Is that the right one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. These guys have long passed away. I don't know about the woman, but this tickles me.
The latest fashions are on the runway for next spring. But there was a problem out there today. One of the British designers shows had the difficulty. A model fell down twice. That's her going down once. The young woman wearing that pink skirt and the orange platform shoes never quite recovered after that. There she goes.
Don't listen to that laughter.
Have you seen Kinky Boots, Pete?
No, not yet.
Kinky Boots. You will enjoy Kinky Boots when the bloke tries to walk down the to run away in his kinky boots.
Listen to the laughter. Keep watching, keep watching. Listen to them.
Okay.
It's not that funny, Pete.
It is to me, I'm sorry, it just tickles me. Anyway, I'll stop it. Oh dear. And I genuinely, I'll stop. And if I'm wanting a good laugh, that's where I go.
Right. Corinda, today's change of time is a one-off, hopefully.
Okay, where have we got to? Where have we got to? Okay, Peter, what's happening in Aberdeen?
Absolutely nothing. I phoned my guys, well, my main man. I phoned him, how's the road? He says, absolutely empty. Everything's shut. There's cafes and things, they've just shut up shop. The city is just empty. He's telling me. I've got, after this, I've got to go to my office for the wages and things. And the city's just dead. It's absolutely dead. But I'm so glad that I've got the link, so if the police stop me on the way down, I can show them, you know. And there's, I haven't even looked for the good news, and unfortunately, so many people that I know are passing away as well. You know, so it's thank God we've got the internet, unless I get shut down.
Yeah. Let's brighten things up a bit. And in Solihull, John.
Well, traffic hasn't come to a standstill because the Land Rover's still open. So twice a day when they do shift changes, it gets quite busy around here. But beyond that, lots of the shops are closed.
Yeah, our shops are on click and collect. And I just want to say here that we seem to be following Scotland, and we should be doing exactly the same as happening in Scotland at the moment, Peter. You just seem to hesitate to do things.
Well, I was hearing about that. This is what's happening. Seemingly, Boris Johnson gives a brief, right? Then Nicola Sturgeon puts it out before him, right?
There's some truth in that.
Yeah, but do you know, even in politics here, the SNP are fighting each other now, Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon. So there's big fights in Scotland just now, and we've got elections coming up shortly, and I think there's going to be big changes. What's that noise?
I don't know, it's not here.
Right.
So that means it must be in Solihull.
I could hear it, but didn't see anything happening.
There was someone listening into our conversation.
So we've got a mystery noise. Okay.
Yeah.
Being generated whilst the video is being transferred to Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've turned all notifications off, so it's not notifications going off in the background or anything.
Right.
Okay. Right. Now, there is now just a short advert. Well, advert for me, really. There is now Be.Live Pro. We're on Be.Live Pro today, which means that we could have broadcast out at 1080. And it also means that on Be.Live Pro, as the host of the show, you can use multiple cameras, which is a first as far as Be.Live is concerned. So this is me in the kitchen, and you can see it's dark in the kitchen. The light is not as good as it, well, it's just dark. And then basically this is my laptop in the kitchen, and rather than the camera pointing at me, my Brio camera pointing at me, I can use that camera to actually point to the worktop in the kitchen, and you can see George's setting, you can see the fresh eggs, and you can see the steamer. And you could actually now use Be.Live as just as a host on your own, with up to 4 different cameras, and do a cooking demonstration or whatever sort of demonstration you'd like to do. The technology has arrived. So I quite enjoyed putting that together, because I did side by side in the office, 2 of me, and then this in the kitchen, and then I went out into the garden. Well, I would have gone out in the garden and done a 3x3, a 3 camera, which I did, but I didn't go into the garden because it was pouring down. I actually did it from the conservatory, with 2 of the cameras looking out at the garden and 1 looking at me. So there you have it, latest update on Be.Live. I'm going to hide that and come back to us. Right, so we're back at 10 o'clock next week.
Yeah.
Okay. It's gone quiet.
Yeah.
Quiet. Anything left on the news thingy?
I was just trying to get some news up, but there's nothing. I was looking at the trends on Twitter, but there's not much going on. UKIP's got a mention. Snow's got a mention for you.
Have you got any snow at the moment, Peter?
No, we did have snow. We had it for 2 days, and then it's gone again, you know. And they run out of sledges to buy. Everybody's wanting sledges, and that's what happened.
Our snow lasted about 4 hours, and that was about it.
Right, okay, yeah.
It rained then, and it all went down the drain.
Yeah. So Boris Johnson has told Nicola Sturgeon, don't keep asking for a referendum again. We ask you what you're going to do if you become independent. Tell us the full story. That's what he's told her. You know?
Okay. We're good. Well, that's about it, really. Are we on this afternoon, John? And if so, at what time? Are we on at the normal time?
The normal time, yeah. As long as you want to be on.
Yeah, sure. Inspired Bone video is at 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. in the UK. John and I will be talking about InVideo, which is the greatest business video creation tool there's ever been. Not that we're biased. And have you got today's lesson, John?
Oh, I've finished it yet, but I will have by 4.
Good. So if you can do join us at 4 o'clock today. Okay. Now, I do feel that we're going to be in the situation we're in until at least April. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
I think it's going to go on further than the thought. I really do. And we're starting to see suicides up here now, unfortunately. I've seen a few.
Yeah.
And they're keeping it quiet. They don't go into it too much. But it is happening. Mental health, a big problem, you know?
It is. It's a hidden problem, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's something that we don't often talk about. Mental health and depression and topics like that seem to be off the table. I mean, it's very difficult for people to actually talk about it.
Yeah. One guy was on TV yesterday for the whole of Scotland, and he said to his girlfriend, when I take an attack, film me. And she filmed him sobbing in a corner. Working guy. And I was on TV. He said, I don't care what state I'm in, film me if you can. Let's see people. Just broke down in a corner, you know. I mean, I'm nearly at the end of my tether with boredom.
Mm-hmm.
No, not getting a proper sleep.
That's something I've found really difficult, is sleeping.
Yeah.
I probably only got 4 hours last night, if that.
Do you take your iPad to bed with you, John?
Sorry?
Do you take an iPad or anything in your bedroom?
No.
No, I do. And Sheila does as well. She's sleeping next door. But we had a bit of a breakthrough last night. Our dog, our new puppy, around about 5:30 at 6, I usually get up. And if I'm not there, she starts crying. So I says, let's do a little trick. Well, let her, she's got a cage thing. We left the door open a bit. And this morning she didn't bark because she was able to get out, kicked Poppy off her bed. It's a little puppy, and she says, out. And then Poppy comes out and lies there. And she was happy as Larry. And then I got up and I hid her. And because her mum wasn't there, she keeps looking back and forth, jumping. I turn off her and I sit there and I watch my iPad. And she jumps off of me, jumped out. And it was quite interesting. So she never barked this morning, or cried this morning. It was great. It's like having a baby. It's like having a baby again.
Over to Chris. And Chris is saying, in education, I think we'll be in this situation until the summer vacation in July.
Yeah.
Which brings on nicely onto education. Earlier this week, beginning of this week.
That's not breaking news. They've been saying that for 4 days.
Yeah.
Which brings us onto education. The government said at the beginning of this week that they were going to do no exams this year, and that they were going to basically grade people by teachers' assessments. Okay.
Yeah.
And they've since backpedaled on that to mini exams.
Right.
So it's another potential banana skin. Because they do things without actually communicating or negotiating with the teachers. Yeah.
It's going to be a generation of people looking back and blaming COVID the rest of their life. They're going to blame COVID the rest of their life. Do you imagine a teacher and they had somebody, the worst pupil in school, giving them a hard time and say, now it's payback time. You're going to be failing. What's up, John?
I don't think most teachers have got that in them.
Well, I can tell you, my two cousins are retired, and the hassle that they put, he says, see if I get hold of him in the street one day. he used to get the kids back at parents' time. He would say, the two parents would say, and he told me, and he says, oh, little Johnny, I can't wait for him to leave this school. Probably my worst pupil ever. And he would look at little Johnny and see their faces going, because he was leaving the teaching. He didn't care. I just love payback, don't you?
In good news, I'll finish on it. I know it's normal. In Wiltshire, as far as education is concerned, all pupils are now working online to a fixed timetable from 9 in the morning through to the normal time in the afternoon. They're having online education, and the system is working, which it can't be said of other countries. Not going to name any names.
Can't be said of other counties, yet alone.
I'm not going to say Germany at all, but other countries. It's working perfectly well in Wiltshire, but not in Warwickshire, John.
I don't know. I'm not in Warwickshire, so I live in
Solihull,
the wonderful county of West Midlands. Solihull was in Warwickshire when I was born, but in 1974 it moved into West Midlands.
That's how long my memory is. Did you guys talk about Amazon faces legal charges over Prime cancellation policy?
Yeah, 17 pages you have to go, screen pages you have to go through, but it's a Scandi thing, and at the moment it hasn't sort of reached us, I don't think.
Yeah.
It's the Scandinavian countries that are objecting.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I bought something today that I could have bought on a certain site, and I bought it direct from them. Do you do that?
You mean there are other shops apart from Amazon?
Pardon?
I'm interested, Peter. Carry on.
Right. Instead of using who we mentioned, right?
Yeah.
I've now went to the site direct and bought from them. Paid £1 more.
I've noticed once or twice now that you can actually save money by not buying from Amazon.
Yeah.
I need a set of 4 inks for my HP 7730 A3 printer.
Mm-hmm.
I can buy them £20 cheaper than I can on Amazon.
Wow.
Amazon are 128 quid and I can buy them 108 quid from Viking Stationery.
Yeah.
Delivery the same next day.
Does that Viking guy wear a wig?
Sorry?
Does he wear a wig?
I don't know about a Viking guy. This is
The
Viking.
Viking guy usually at the front. the man who owns the business. His picture's at the front of his catalogue.
All right.
You know what things I look out for?
On that note, it's over to John to close the show.
All right. Well, how football? We're not talking about football. It's the same as politics. It's banned, okay?
They should be at home.
Well, whilst we're only almost at the bottom, it is anyway. No, it's goodbye from me in the middle, but him over there in the south and him up there in the north. And we'll all be back next week, and we'll be back at our normal time of 10 a.m. And we look forward to seeing you all again. Goodbye.
Bye.
Remember,
Thanks for watching.
Liberals.
Yeah.